planning as well, but more importantly, response. And I'm very glad to share that the CFK administration and the leadership has taken some serious measures on this point. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to do a couple of things. One is raise awareness what exactly active shooter means. That is something that we look at the news and we hear about things, and then there is absolutely good to understand that what exactly happens in this situation and what are some of the options. So our plan is to basically get us all in our subconscious that what exactly should be our reactions. Let me just assure you that we're not be just doing it for one time. It's going to be a repetition. We have very active programs throughout the years. I mean, starting with Ramadan, then Muharram, where you have heavy traffic coming in this center. We understand that this center, the location actually presents a unique challenge and a bit of a situation because we actually are in a strip mall, and so there's a difference between a strip mall security coverage and a standalone infrastructure, standalone premise, basically. So we're going to go through this video just to kind of raise awareness. We do have a PowerPoint. The idea is to basically broadcast that information very actively, and we're going to watch this video. And then if you have any other questions or feedback or views or concerns, feel free. After that, we will be switching towards high level to a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to keep it brief. It's late, but again, it's not going to be just one conversation, or it's going to be a series of conversation on this topic. Cool? Okay. So Nate, can we?
There's a gunman inside the store. We need help now.
Everything last weekend? Very nice, wasn't it?
Excited about is the new system enhancement. What's going to be the solution by the time we?
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Actually think he's got he's got a truck. I don't know if your daughter would be interested. Yeah, definitely. Now, she figured out what college she wants to go to?
911, what's your emergency? We need help. There's a gunman inside the store. He's shooting the place up. We need help now.
Issues that we found. Okay, Emily, see what that is. See what's going on. Just let us know what you find out.
There's a man with a gun. He's right there.
What's the law? Lights. Lock it.
Right down. There you go. You're safe for that.
There's a guy with a gun. He's shooting. Look.
James, we don't have
No, look.
Run! 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 To the right! To the right! To the loading dock! Come on, this way, this way, this way!
Oh, no, come here.
Yeah, in here, in here. The gunman's coming.
What are we gonna do?
We're gonna have to defend ourselves.
I can't do this.
You're gonna see your daughter tonight, okay? We are all going to go home tonight, all right? We have a right to defend ourselves. Get the gun! Get the gun! Hey! Hold him down, hold him down!
Gosh, I'm just so glad you're okay.
Yes, we're all gonna go home. Everybody's going home.
Yeah.
If you ever have the misfortune to be in an active shooter event, you deserve to survive. In our research, we have found that the actions that potential victims take during these events are critical to their survival. We have identified 3 options that have proven effective in many events. These are: avoid the attacker, deny the attacker access to your area, defend yourself. It is a personal decision, but you have a right to do so. Avoiding the attacker starts with being aware of your surroundings at all times and knowing what is going on around you. If you see or hear something that looks suspicious, take action. For example, the stalker took immediate and effective action to protect himself when he observed the shooter pulling out weapons from the bag. Others, however, hesitated, and this hesitation can cost them valuable time that they could have used to get away from the threat. If you hear something that is, or could be, gunfire, start trying to get away from it as soon as possible. Gunfire has a distinctive sound. Inside of buildings, the sound can be muffled or distorted. A single loud bang could be a person dropping something, or even thunder. But repeated loud bangs are much more likely to be gunfire. Additionally, look at the reaction of others. Are they startled or scared? Are they running? What are they saying? Any one of these events individually may create denial, but when put together, should create a heightened awareness and stimulate an immediate response. It is important that you know how to get out. The situation will be chaotic and rapidly changing. In general, you will want to go to the nearest exit. But you must also understand that the closest exit may not be accessible or safe to use. If this is the case, go to a different exit. While avoiding the threat, consider the uses of cover and concealment. Cover offers protection from gunfire, while concealment minimizes your exposure to the attacker. Try to keep objects between you and the attacker. If you can't avoid the attacker, sometimes the best option will be to deny the attacker access to your location. In many locations, this can be accomplished by closing and locking a door, such as they did in the meeting room. Locking the door has proven effective in many attacks. If the door does not have a lock, you can place heavy objects in front of it. Remember, barricades work best if the door opens toward you. If it doesn't, use things that are readily available, such as straps, belts, or objects that can be used to block or secure the door to make it difficult for the attacker to enter the room. This may at least slow the attacker down and give you time to identify alternate means of escape, such as adjoining rooms or windows. When attempting to deny access to your location, you want to make it appear that there is no one in your area. Lock doors, turn off the lights, silence your phones, and get out of sight. Your attempt to deny the attacker access to your location might fail.
The gunman's coming.
What are we gonna do?
We're gonna have to defend ourselves.
Have a backup plan about what you will do. In many cases, this may be to defend yourself. You need to be in a place where you can act if the attacker comes into your location. In most rooms, you will line up against the same wall that the door is on, near the door so you can react, but not directly in front of it. If you are unable to avoid or deny, your best option may be to defend yourself by using whatever is available. In a situation where someone is attempting to kill you, you have the legal right to defend yourself. Attack weak spots such as eyes, throat, and groin. Fight to the best of your ability and do not quit until the attacker is stopped. This is what the workers in the warehouse did when they were unable to avoid the attacker and felt their lives were in immediate danger. Whatever option you choose, call 911 as soon as you are in a safe location. Provide any information that you know. The operator will ask you a lot of questions. If you don't know the answer, don't guess. Just say you don't know and only state the facts.
I'm not sure. There's 3 of us in the room. We're on the...
There's a guy with a gun. He's shooting.
This will be a complex situation, and we can't tell you what you should do in every case. What we can do is provide you with information about the options that we have found to be most effective for surviving these attacks. The ultimate choice is yours. What you do matters. Avoid the attacker. Deny access to your location. Defend yourself. Law enforcement will be entering a chaotic scene with limited information. Their first priority will be to stop the threat to your safety. The police may not know where or who the threat is. Listen and comply with their commands immediately.
Put it down, sir. Put it down. Both of you on the ground.
Police are trained to look at people's hands to assess threats. Do not have anything in your hands that could be perceived as a weapon, such as a cell phone.
Show me your hands, sir. Show me your hands. Move to us. Everybody, keep your hands up, please. Walk out the door.
If told to do so, stay where you are and do not make sudden movements. Again, follow all commands. Remember, what you do matters. Avoid the attacker. Deny access to your location. Defend yourself. Remember, ADD. You can survive.
So I'm sure not very interesting, but probably a bit concerning. But let me just assure you that it's just not our centers or mosques that are being prepared. When we look at synagogues, churches, temples, mandirs all across, they are all getting vigilant and active about it. So our point is to kind of raise awareness. We also have prepared a package, an information package for all this. Just quickly walk through. I mean, the video actually is pretty much self-explanatory in terms of what needs to be done, what the leadership and I think management from the CFK is actually doing. We are preparing accordingly to how to best prepare and equip ourselves, especially around certain events when we have high traffic. When you are operating a facility like this in a strip mall, it has its own challenges. When you are a standalone infrastructure, as I said before, it has its own challenges. So with that being said, I think we have a plan in place to actually support Muharram that starts in 2 weeks, and then basically all the major events down the road. We also are planning an evacuation plan in case of, God forbid, fire and all that. So we will be actually doing some rehearsals for that. There will be some planned rehearsals. There will be some unplanned rehearsal that would be doing during probably a majlis or something where it's going to be unannounced, just to prep ourselves basically, because incidents do not plan themselves, they just happen. So we just want to make sure that we actually cover all the grounds from that perspective and we are well prepared. Basically, decreasing the probability of any unfortunate event as much as possible. Any questions on what we just talked about? Any specific concerns? I know this is a bit to digest, but any question, feedback would really be appreciated. Cool. Cool. You want to talk about the evacuation plan, Sayyid Akbar, that we're going to be doing? Yeah.
That's not a good start. Uh, we have an evacuation plan, not one, but many. The reasoning behind it is like, if we have an emergency, we should know what to do. And it could be anything, could be fire, could be a shooter or anything else. So we should know how to escape and from where to escape from. It's just not only men, but I think more importantly, sisters and children. So our plan is to start simple, and inshallah, in few weeks, we will have the first plan. The first plan will be just announce evacuation, and then we will tell what to do. So for example, this is an exit, and this is blocked. So this should not be blocked. I mean, things like this. All exits should be accessible easily. So the plan is first time we'll just have a simple evacuation. We'll tell the men to leave from certain exit and ladies to leave from a certain exit. Then after that we will introduce some wrinkles. It may not be as simple as that. Sometimes you're trying to escape from one exit, you find out it's blocked for whatever reason, so you'll have to change accordingly and go from a different exit. And the security team, what we'll do is, we will be there, inshallah. Or the management will be there always. So if something like this happens, please make sure that you follow what the management is saying or the security team is saying. So that will make everything run smoothly. So this is what I have for evacuation right now, because we are not right now ourselves prepared with a plan. Once we are prepared in the next few weeks, inshallah, we will introduce it to the rest of the people, inshallah. You want to continue with the PowerPoint?
Just to kind of recap some of the items that we discussed, we had avoid, deny, defend, same concept, run, escape, run, hide, and fight from that perspective. How do we define the threat? So in our situation, it's pretty, I would say, convenient, because whenever we have like Muharram events or Ramzan events, or especially around between 18 to 21st of Ramadan, we have folks. We have one person, one body in the front, we have one body in the back. So at least visibly we are looking if something is coming from the front or if something is coming from the behind, right? We are not in a situation in those major events when we don't know, someone just walks in, basically. So there is definitely some benefit of having a body in the front or body in the back so that we can assess, basically. The other thing that we actually kind of discussed was communication. We want to make sure that the front is talking to the back and the back is talking to the front. So in our lesson learned from previous security provisioning is that the front is not talking to the back is not talking to the front. So there are a few things that we have identified that we need to take measures in coming days, and probably best prepared for Muharram actually. But how do we define a threat? Rest, it's all about making sure that our brothers and sisters both are aware how to look in something, basically. So that's one thing to kind of identify. So not going to discriminate anything, but if we look at a profile of an active shooter, it's mainly white Caucasian, what we have come across, and as through FBI database and other state agencies database, it's usually a white Caucasian, dressed in a military gear, and I don't have my equipment with me right now. I would have shown you that what exactly he would be carrying. It would be a long barrel rifle, which is a high capacity magazine. There is also a trend that the video that you saw was shot with a shotgun in mind, which is a 12 gauge barrel just with 6 or 7, bullets in it. But high capacity magazines is what have been observed for the last 3 years in active shooting, where you have 30 rounds or 50 rounds in an extended magazine. So again, having someone in the front and the back helps a lot. You have at least minutes time or seconds time to assess it. Usually the police will respond anywhere between 5 to 8 minutes. That's the standard time for any state police to respond to an active shooting or any incident in a commercial facility or a private facility, basically. So from that perspective. I mean, when we do some of the drills, actually, we're gonna tell people how to kind of avoid the situation. If we run into a situation, God forbid, if our body in the front goes down or if the body in the back goes down, there will be enough noise where people can actually have ways to exit the premise. So as Sayyid Akbar mentioned, that evacuation plan comes in handy very, very well, not just for active shooter, but for in case of any other incident. So when we will practice or rehearse the exit strategy over here, that comes into play if you have an active shooter, that way to run basically. And once again, the front and the back has to be constant communication from that perspective. Avoid is generally, recommended, is to better to run away, because most of the people don't carry weapons on them all the time. And then if you are really presented with a threat, then whatever is in your hand is your weapon, basically. So usually it's recommended that, you should avoid the situation and all that kind of stuff. Deny is to avoid access. So the committee, the security team is going to be evaluating all the locks and the doorknobs everywhere. If you see one of the clips actually where it was pretty convenient to lock and turn off the light and the shooter is just not able to open the door. Usually they don't carry wrenches with themselves, or they don't even kick actually. So it's a very simple way to kind of deny this, to make sure that all the doors are locked if the ladies or the kids or the gents are in one room basically. So that's some of the things. Again, deny a bit more on deny, lock yourself, sorry, defend. So Texas is a state where you can constitutionally carry a firearm. So what that means is that you don't need to have a license to carry a firearm, own a firearm. You can actually need to have a license to conceal carry, but if you're open carry, you don't need a license. So I've been living in this state for almost 10 years now. I always assume that everyone is carrying a weapon. So now with constitutional carry, rights and all that kind of stuff, it's better to just go with that assumption. But you have the right to defend yourself. You have the right to actually, whether you have a license or not, you can defend yourself. So normal procedure is, God forbid, if you take a shooter down, the police will come, you will get detained for questioning. I'm not using the word arrested. There's a different definition between detained and arrested. So you will be detained, question answers will take place, and mostly the next day you turn out to be a hero, basically. So that's how defend works, and this is how we should kind of think about it as much as possible. Whether you have a firearm or something else, make sure that you are able to defend, but that's usually the last resort. You will not see many people go for this option until really your instincts kicks in and you are here to defend yourself. So as I said, anything that is in your hand, in your capacity, you basically, pick it up and basically, defend yourself. So in our situation, I'm glad to know that, the CFK leadership is in contact with the local police department. Every local police department, folks, is encouraging this conversation. This is a statewide, there's a nationwide conversation right now where all the police departments wants to work with the places of worship. Once again, whether it's a synagogue, churches, temple, mandir, and mosque, they want to talk to you. They want to establish a relationship so that they can be of better assistance. So if God forbid anything happens, when the police, arrives, just follow the commands. As simple as that. We don't need to, be a hero when a cop show up, because they are trying to analyze the situation at the same time, basically. Evacuation, again, Sayyid Akbar mentioned about it. This is kind of a teaser here. We're going to have more details coming up and more kind of, rehearsals or drills coming up just to kind of plan ourselves. Basically, our plan is to get as many folks aware of how evacuation works. So if you have 1,500 people coming over here, even let's say 50 knows how to evacuate, the others will follow. So that's a typical formula, basically, that you don't need to make sure that all 1,500 knows inside out, but only if the 50 knows, then the rest will follow. The plan is to make sure that all the volunteers actually are well aware of the evacuation plan and the active shooter plan, so that rest can follow actually. Just more details. Parking is definitely tricky. Again, it's a strip mall, it's a commercial area. You have a limited option over here, but just make sure that the cars are parked where the designated areas are. Basically, it's better to park over there so that if an emergency or a local authority shows up, they have places to park the car easily, not they're just running, half a mile to get to the premise and because they don't find the parking spot. So we're gonna make sure that when we actually activate the volunteer parking conversation in couple of weeks, we actually enforce that regularly in our conversations as well. That's it. Thank you so much. Yes, you have a question? Yeah, so it's a tricky one. So it's not just CFK. Yeah, so it's a tricky. So the question you brother asked was that usually you have a small gathering during the majlis or after the majlis or all that outside or backside. So number one is just not limited to CFK. It happens everywhere. It happens in a church, temple, mandir. It's just how we operate as human beings. But what has been instructed to them not to gather or clutter right in front of the premises. If you want to gather, sure, why not go into the parking, go further down from the front door. So if someone is waiting for the right moment, whether start of a proceeding or end of a proceeding, they will always look for a gathering. So active shooter actually attracts towards a gathering, basically. So it's better recommended to be far, absolutely gathered, have conversations, but a bit far from the front door or the back door, if that answers your question, basically. No, so again, back to the research, right? So they actually look for gathering because they come prepared, right? They usually will have a bulletproof vest, gear, and he'll probably have 3 or 4 firearms on him. So he knows that they are not expecting him, right? So he knows that, and they're usually high capacity rifles that I was talking about. So the more the gathering, the more the points for it. Correct. So thank you, sir. The event will start outside. So you will have a heads up. However, how do you protect both? Where is the win-win situation? The win-win situation is basically to tell them to gather a bit far from it, right? You cannot really protect everything, but if you can really protect that, if you can protect the center, basically. It's like my home, right? It's protect my home. So from that perspective.
I know we've talked about this in our internal meetings and stuff. How effective is a deterrent like a security camera or a police car parked outside? What are we planning for that?
No, thank you so much, Zunair. So my personal experience, I've been volunteering here for the last 2 years. Yes, so I'm sorry. So the question Zunair asked that how good or effective security cameras or having security guards at the front, at the back, is this a good deterrence? Absolutely. So for many years, even before this active shooter conversation for the last 10, 15 years, this is an amazing deterrent, right? And I think I mentioned that when you guys go into don't quote me anywhere. I'll tell you how I know this. But if you go to a parking spot and across nationwide, you'll see a tall police tower or a camera. It's never recording. It does not record. It's a deterrence. It plays with your mind just to tell you that, listen, someone is watching. So when you have those kind of signs there or optics there, people usually behave. basically. And you will see that whether you have it in a Walmart parking or a Costco parking or any other shopping mall parking, you will see that effects basically. So basically, to your point, it's always good to have security cameras front and back, inside. There has been situations you never know someone who has been coming to this within the center or mosque or church, synagogues, flip his mind, does something stupid. So it's always from that. So we are looking from an external. We should need to look from the internal as well, because sometimes there is an internal threat as well. And we don't have that, thank God, we don't have that structured conspiracy against us, right? But you need to be looking for that as well, if that makes sense. Any other questions, thought, feedback? Absolutely, sir. Again, as I said, by Second Amendment, by state law, you can absolutely have concealed carry weapons. We had this discussion during our security discussion as well. Generally, when we look at us Shias or Muslims, we are not very driven towards having firearms. We are not. Let's just face it. When we look at other ethnicities or other religions, especially Christians and all that, it's their culture, it's their way of living. What we discussed that, okay, maybe in the beginning, let's not allow people to have concealed carry. Let's put signs back in front, because we would want to know that if someone is concealed carrying, let's say you, are you even good with that? Having a firearm is not the objective. How to be very actively know how to use it and be prepared for it is always good. So we are evaluating actually. That's why you will see signs in Frisco Mosque, Epic Mosque, West Plano Mosque, and some of the churches in Garland that they have signs that do not carry handgun into the premise. Because the administration want to know that who specifically has it, how frequently they use it, they go to the range or not, basically. So that's sort of like a fine line there that we are trying to define, basically. Any other question? Cool. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.